Good afternoon, dear colleagues. After the EU-Western Balkan leaders meeting, I have the pleasure to introduce the Prime Minister of Albania, Mr. Edi Rama, the Prime Minister of North Macedonia, Mr. Dimitar Kovačevski, and the President of the Republic of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić. You will have the opportunity to ask the questions to each leader, three questions, after they finish their addressing. Mr. Kovačevski, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So for the media, I will have first address in Macedonian, and then I will do the same address in English, because we have from North Macedonia media. Почитувани представници на медиумите, почитувани колеги Vučić и Рама, почитувани граѓани. Денешниот самит на Европската Унија за Западен Балкан беше форум на кој ги разгледавме отворените прашања од национален и регионален интерес за Западниот Балкан во контекст на последните геостратешки предизвици. Руската агресија во Украина представува закана за сите земји во регионот и во овој контекст проширувањето на Европската Унија со земјите од Западен Балкан треба да се гледа како неопходност, но и влог во безбедноста на Европската Унија. Имајќи ги предвид околностите во кои се наоѓаме, на самитот денес изрази незадоволство од динамиката со која се одвиваат процесите за пристап и отпочнување на преговори. Северна Македонија е земја кандидат близу 18 години. Договорот за стабилизација и асоциација го подпишавме пред точно 21 година. Во март 2020 година Европскиот совет донесе одлука за безусловен старт на преговорите помеѓу Северна Македонија и Европската Унија. Но еве сме тука денес, а преговорите се уште не се започнати. Ќе бидам директен уште веднаш. Ова што се случува е сериозен проблем и сериозен удар врз кредибилитноста на Европската Унија. Губиме драгоценно време кое реално го немаме на располагање. Северна Македонија и Албанија, но и регионот не смееме да дозволиме да тапкаме во место поради една земја членка која едноставно не успева да се искоординира и да обезбеди деблокирање на нашиот европски пат. Не смееме да дозволиме билатералните прашања да станат мултилатерален проблем. Северна Македонија е земја која светот денес ја препознава како земја која успева преку отворен диалог да разреши горливи и тешки прашања. Како земја која е посветена на изнаоѓање заеднички прифатливи решенија кои се базирани на европски вредности и достоинство на граѓаните. Со истата идеја ние влеговме и во процесот на преговори со Бугарија. Искрено и со желба истите да се поставени на европски вредности. Месеци наназад инсистиравме да си го посветиме времето и вниманието кон иднината и кон изнаоѓање решенија кои ќе го деблокираат процесот за престапување и за Северна Македонија и за Албанија. Бугарија пак од друга страна реши да се врати во минатото и повторно да постави блокада која никому не оди во прилог, освен на одредени трети страни кои ќе имаат отворен терен да ги пополнат празнините кои неминовно ќе се отворат со вакви непромислени чекори, што е исклучително важно од геостратешки аспект. Северна Македонија досега направи многу. Ние донесовме многу тешки одлуки. Работиме посветено на реформите дома, а со цела европеизација на општеството. Време е Европската Унија да ги исполни своите ветувања пред да даде нови. Што се однесува до францускиот предлог, најпрво би сакал да упатам благодарност до председателот Макрон за неговиот ангажман и за вложениот напор за изнаоѓање решение. Во тој динамичен процес на работа со француското председателство ние ги соопштивме нашите позиции и црвени линии и во тој контекст би сакал уште еднаш да потврдам дека предлог кој би бил прифатлив треба да ги гарантира клучните елементи. Чиста формулација за македонскиот јазик во преговарачката рамка и јасна заштита на македонскиот идентитет. Историските прашања не можат да бидат критериуми во преговарачката рамка. Преговорите помеѓу Северна Македонија и Европската Унија мора да почнат пред отпочнувањето на постапката за уставните измени за вклучување на бугарите, хрватите и црногорците во преамбулата на уставот. Цврсти гаранции и од Бугарија и од Европската Унија дека Бугарија нема да условува со нови барања надвор од она што ќе биде договорено во преговарачката рамка и билатералниот протокол кој се уште не е усогласен со Бугарија. И секако, секое решение ќе треба да е консултирано со институциите на Република Северна Македонија. Предлогот во ваква форма, каква што е во моментов, е неприфатлив за мене, за председателот на државата, за владата, за коалиционите партнери и за граѓаните на Република Северна Македонија. Доколку во текот на француското председателство се постигне разбирање за нашите позиции, ние сме подготвени да се вклучиме во разговори за истите, за да се започнат преговори до крајот на јуни. Сакам да искористам оваа прилика и да порачам дека граѓаните на Северна Македонија може да се спокојни. Ние секогаш ги имаме во прв план стратешките интереси и цели на државата. Никој не може без наша согласност да наметне какво било решение. Ние направивме се, сега Европската унија е на потек. Во меѓувреме Северна Македонија, Албанија и Србија активно и практично ќе ги имплементираат 4 слободи на кои почива Европската унија. Ќе ги европеизираат општествата и ќе ги подобрат квалитетот на животот на граѓаните преку иницијативата Отворен Балкан. Иницијативата Отворен Балкан не е замена за Европската унија, но е контекстот кој е потребен додека да се приклучиме на семејството на Европската унија, додека чекаме предвидливи, кредибилни, забрзани евроинтеграцијски процеси. Денес воедно ја слушнавме иницијативата на председателот Макрон за воспоставување на Европска политичка заедница како платформа за стратешки политички диалог и одлуки кои се важни за целиот европски континент. Оваа иницијатива ја поздравуваме и сметаме дека е важно да се воспостави токму во овој момент, но би сакале да видиме како ќе функционира и кои се конкретните цели. Која било иницијатива од овој карактер не смее да биде замена за полноправно членство во Европската унија. Би сакал да заклучам со следново. Сите 27 лидери, 27 нации, 27 земји кои се приклучија на унијата, сите се приклучија гордо со сите различности и со целосна почит за своите и за туѓите културни, лингвистички и историски различности. Ништо од ова не било проблематизирано на европскиот пат. Тоа е она што и ние го посекуваме. Ништо повеќе и ништо помалку. Почит за лингвистичкиот, етничкиот, културниот и историскиот идентитет на мојот народ. И да се приклучиме кон унијата гордо, заедно со сите членови на Европската унија, заедно со сите народи, членки на Европската унија и секако исполнувајќи ги сите критериуми за членство. Ви благодарам.
Yeah, but Prime Minister Kovačevski said he will read in English. In English,
now
yes.
In English, there is no translation.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can continue in English now.
Yeah.
So I can do it in English because there is no translation.
Yes.
Yes. Distinguished representatives of the media, dear colleagues, President Vučić and Prime Minister Rama, dear citizens, as today's European Union Summit for the Western Balkans, we discussed the open issues of national and regional interest in the Western Balkans in the context of the recent geostrategic challenges. The Russian aggression on Ukraine is a threat to all countries in the region, and in this context, European Union enlargement to the Western Balkans should be seen as a necessity, but also an investment in the security of the European Union. Given the circumstances we are in at today's summit, I expressed my government and my people's dissatisfaction with the dynamics of the accession process and the start of the negotiations. North Macedonia has been a candidate member for also almost 18 years. We signed the Stabilization and Association Agreement exactly 21 years ago. In March 2020, the European Council made a decision for an unconditional start of negotiations between North Macedonia and the European Union. But here we are today, and the negotiations have not started yet. I will be straightforward. What has happened now is a serious problem and serious blow to the credibility of the European Union. We are wasting precious time, which we do not have at our disposal. I am stating now that my country, North Macedonia, and Republic of Albania, but also the region, we can't be stuck in this situation because a single country simply fails to coordinate and ensure the unblocking of the European path for us. We must not allow bilateral issues to become a multilateral problem. North Macedonia is a country that is widely recognized as a country that manages through open dialogue to resolve burning and difficult issues. We are recognized as a country that is committed to finding mutually acceptable solutions based on European values and the dignity of its citizens. With the same idea, we entered the negotiation process with Bulgaria, with honesty and desire to set the same on the European values. Months ago, we insisted on devoting our time and attention to the future and finding a solution that would unblock the accession process for both North Macedonia and Albania. Bulgaria, on the other hand, has decided to go back to the past and reimpose a blockade that does not benefit anyone, except for certain third parties who will have open ground to fill the gaps that will inevitably be opened by such reckless steps, which is extremely important from a geostrategic point of view. North Macedonia has done a lot so far. We have made very difficult decisions. We are strongly dedicated to reforms at home in order to Europeanize our society. It is time for the European Union to fulfill its promises before giving new ones. As for the French proposal, I would like first to thank President Macron for his commitment and for his efforts to find a solution. In this dynamic process of working with the French presidency, we have announced our positions and our red lines. Thus, in the context, I would like to reaffirm that a proposal that is acceptable to us should guarantee the following key elements: pure formulation of the Macedonian language in the negotiating framework and clear protection of the Macedonian identity. Historical issues cannot be criteria in the negotiation framework. Negotiations between North Macedonia and the European Union must begin before the procedure for constitutional changes for inclusion of Bulgarians, Croats and Montenegrins in the preamble of our constitution. Strong guarantees from both Bulgaria and the European Union that Bulgaria will not make new demands conditional on what will be agreed in the negotiation framework and the bilateral protocol that has not yet been harmonized with Bulgaria. And of course, any solution will have to be consulted and agreed upon with the institutions of the Republic of North Macedonia. The proposal in its current form is unacceptable to me, to the citizens, to the coalition partners, to the government, to the President of the Republic of North Macedonia. If during the French presidency there is a reached understanding about our position, we are ready to actively take part in the process to start the negotiations. I want to take this opportunity to tell to the citizens of North Macedonia that they should be at peace. I assure you, we always put the strategic interests and goals of the state first. No one can impose any solution without our consent. We did everything. Now the European Union is on the move. In the meantime, North Macedonia, Albania and Serbia will actively and practically implement the four freedoms on which the European Union rests. We will Europeanize our societies and will improve the quality of life of the citizens through the Open Balkan initiative. Let me be clear, the Open Balkan is not a substitute for the EU, but it is the context that we will need to join the European Union's family as we wait for the predictable, credible and accelerated European integration process. Furthermore, today we also heard President Macron's initiative to establish a European political community as a platform for strategic political dialogue and decisions that are important for the entire European continent. We welcome this initiative and consider it important to be established at this moment, but we would like to see how it will work in practice and what its specific goals are. Might I remind that any initiative of this nature should not and might be not a substitute for full European Union membership. I would like to conclude with the following. All of the 27 nations, 27 countries, which joined the European Union, they did it proudly, with all their diversities and with full respect of their own and each other's cultural, linguistic, historic diversities. None of these issues were disputed on the way of the 27 member countries when they joined the European Union. This is what we want. Nothing more, nothing less. Just respect for my people's linguistic, ethnic, cultural, historical identity and join the Union proudly as all of the current members have done in the past. Our path was difficult, unlikely any other. Our citizens love Europe. They made all the sacrifices, all the reforms, and we are ready to join the family in the same way as everyone did so far, with full respect between each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Kovačevski. I kindly ask the Prime Minister of Albania, Mr. Edi Rama, to address. Mr. Rama, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. And let me express my deep sorrow for European Union. I feel sorry for them, and I hope we can help. I tried to tell certain things in the meeting, and I'll share with you a few of them, because I don't want to take as long as it took in the meeting. Charles Michel told us we had 3 minutes. I told him it could have been 30 seconds if they would deliver. But they didn't deliver, so 3 minutes were not enough. And I told them that it feels good and bad to be with them. It feels very good because we are Europeans, and to be among Europeans is a great thing. But it feels bad because we still can't be here as Europeans, but as guests in a divided house. And it's really a very, very concerning thing that even a pandemic, an assault on global scale, tragic assault, and nor a really very threatening war that can turn in a tragic global war have been able to unite them. So, what to do? Of course, we have a lot to do, and on one hand, I think we have, and we did already, to support the idea of the French President, Emmanuel Macron, for morally desirable, politically wise and strategically important goal, this new European political community. And while we will continue, of course, in our membership path, hoping that in the next century we will be members, and of course facing one Bulgaria here, another Bulgaria there, a third Bulgaria in the way, we would very, very much appreciate if this new political community of Europe comes to place, to be all together in a single house, as a single family. No problem if we are divided in different floors, but at least in the living room we stay together. Not like this. Secondly, of course, the main topic was North Macedonia. It was once upon a time Macedonia, just to remember, or Fyrom, as our Greek brothers would say. Then 17 years later, is still waiting as a candidate to open accession talks. Changed even the name. Didn't make any difference. Imagine France changing the name to become member of EU, or Italy. They changed even the name. Albania is waiting since 8 years now. And I had to win a third term to continue to look for starting accession talks. And it was very, very much important to say the truth, that the reason, it's not simply Bulgaria. Let's say the truth. Bulgaria is a disgrace, but it's not simply Bulgaria. The reason is the crooked spirit of the enlargement. It's totally crooked spirit. And Bulgaria is its most stunning expression. The enlargement spirit has gone from a shared vision of an entire community to the kidnapping vehicle of individual member states. You know, and we have seen every time there is something happening in a member state, immediately this vehicle is put in motion. So this Bulgarian affair is a disgrace. A NATO country kidnapping 2 other NATO countries, while in the backyard of Europe there is a war, and under the watch of 26 countries that are totally impotent altogether. And then they say, and I'm saying what I told them, that Vladimir Putin is very sick. Well, Vladimir Putin may be very sick, or may be very well, but for sure this place here is not looking very healthy. Okay? So the Russian aggressor of Ukraine is receiving extra generous and unsolicited help from a NATO country, Bulgaria, to destabilize another NATO country, North Macedonia, and to lead further the resentment, the discontent in a neighborhood like ours, which is really a weak chain in all this situation. So we are not going to wait for Godot, of course, and I have told it before. I was so sorry for some optimist people yesterday that started to tweet, "Oh, we are there. Oh, it's no." And I didn't come here with the idea that something would happen. No. In Godot, it's very clear. Vladimir and Estragon, so North Macedonia and Albania, they are together. And Vladimir says to Estragon, "Shall we move?" And Estragon says, "Let's move." But there is Samuel Beckett, the European Union, who said, "Nobody moves." So it goes on. While we have moved and will continue to move to revive this spirit of Europe in our neighborhoods, we call Berlin, this is the name, Berlin, of the process of this attempted resurrection. And Open Balkan is the name of the vehicle we have created to make Berlin concrete and the real deal in the ground. So I've asked full support, unequivocal support for Open Balkan, because they are divided even in this, like they have to live in the Balkan, and they are divided even about the Balkan, what we do in our own neighborhoods. Anyhow, they mean well, by no doubt. And please do not take me wrong. This is a nice place. They are very nice people. Pictures are very nice here. Words are nice. Would have been nicer if they would deliver, but we are not so nice in the Balkans, so we don't give up. And we'll keep going. And one day we'll become nice members of EU, for sure. So beyond all this, I don't want to take longer, but I simply stated two other very important things. There is another kidnapping in process, which is the kidnapping of the citizens of Kosovo who are not allowed to move freely in Europe. It's the only population in the soil of Europe that cannot move freely. And guess what? And I told them, can you imagine? They were under a Yugoslav dictator, basically two. And they could move. They could go to Germany. They could go to Switzerland. They could go everywhere. And they could work. And since they were liberated, their liberators are keeping them hostage. They cannot move. This is crazy. This is shame. And this should end. And the people should be allowed to move freely. Secondly, I had to voice something, and I feel somehow sorry that was needed to be said, because normally everyone should know it, that Serbia is in a very different position. Serbia is a totally different reality. And I just try to explain to them that it's about a country where Vladimir Putin's popularity is 80%. And it's a country where the public opinion is not so keen to run and to come to Brussels. Quite the contrary. But it's a country that, out of any expectation, even myself, I didn't expect it, frankly, and I didn't even call Aleksandar because I was afraid that he could say, sorry, we have to go on the other side, and this would have been the end of any relation. And I was thinking it would be an abstention. 3 times against Russia, aligning with the European Union and the whole West, voting even to expel Russia from the Human Rights Committee. So I understand the demand to push further, but I don't understand the stretching of it to its limits with regard to sanction requests. And I've said it publicly, I've said it in Pristina, I've said it in Tirana, I've said it here. It's what I think. Because Serbia is simply not in a position to deliver as much as fast, and stretching it too far risks to make the total contrary effect. And then, who would pay would be the European agenda of Serbia, but even worse would be the people of our region. This is very, very clear. So, let alone the Open Balkan or the Berlin process or all this. We don't want a war. We don't need conflicts, blood, and tensions back in our region, and that's why we want to push further in the direction we have picked. So I told them, let's keep it that way. And there are many blows they have to deal with, so they should not help another blow. And that's it. This is what I believe. So to conclude, my last appeal to them was, don't let that faith. Albanians still have a big faith in Europe, and they'll continue to have it despite the European Union, despite all these charades, because we have, for the first time in our history, the possibility to be where we want, not under regimes or empires that we didn't pick. And Europe for us is a religion. Europe for us is not Brussels. So Albanians will continue. But also in the Western Balkans, there is a lot of European, North Macedonia and so on. So, and my, let's say, begging to them was, please, don't let EU become like the congregation of priests that were discussing the sex of the angels while the walls of Constantinople were falling apart. We know how it went. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Rama. I kindly ask the President of the Republic of Serbia, Mr. Aleksandar Vučić, to address. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for coming here to our joint press conference, and of course, Dimitar and Edi, they were speaking on behalf of themselves, and I'll do the same, but we do understand each other, and today Serbia was very supportive to opening of negotiation process with North Macedonia and Albania, and as many countries were, but actually once again nothing happened. I believe that our friends from Skopje and Tirana deserved to get that opening of negotiating process, and I believe that they're going to get it as soon as possible. And it's not just a formal demand, request, plea. It's something that is necessity, because both countries did everything in accordance with European regulations, fulfilled all the requirements, and they really deserved it, which means that people of North Macedonia and Albania deserved it. I have to say something in a more optimistic way, and something that will confirm our EU path, which means that if you do an analysis of our cooperation with the European Union, you can see that, let's say, in the first 4 months, Serbia has increased its trade turnover, its trade exchange with European Union for, you wouldn't believe it, almost more than 30%, which means that we're going to reach this year 40 billion euros, which is not that small amount even for such a big economic power as it European Union is. You can imagine that how big that is for such a small country as Serbia is. And I have to say that we were profoundly grateful to Charles Michel, Ursula von der Leyen, Josep Borrell, for all the others, Oliver Varhelyi, for supporting all of us on EU path, for visiting our countries. And I was very grateful to them because they were listening to us. More than 20 leaders, EU leaders, were listening to us for 3-4 hours, and we were listening to them, and we discussed that's why we need this kind of Emmanuel Macron's proposal to be accepted by all of us, which means formation of a new European political community. Why I'm saying this? Because that's the only way for us to be heard, and that's a good way for us to listening more often our European colleagues and to get to know their way of thinking, and it was very useful for me as a representative of Serbia. And I have to say many thanks to Dimitar Kovačevski and to Edi Rama, because they were very fair towards Serbia today, and to many EU leaders that showed respect to Serbia. And I cannot hide it, because I saw that Croatian media even during the discussion, and I was not leaving the room, I was not leaving the space, was listening to everybody. At that time, they had already informed their public that there was a huge pressure on Vučić, because of Russian-Ukrainian issue, and that was pretty much true, and I'm not hiding that. I was one of the last speakers and was referring to these issues and to all the other issues. But then I asked one more question, and I want to just recall yourself on something that was happening in the last 4 months. According to data that I got from my people, from my service, 2,629, if I'm not mistaken, only articles, I'm not speaking about something that was broadcasted, articles were printed in European medias about Serbia after Russian incursion happened, about Serbia's jeopardizing an entire region of Western Balkans, redeploying troops, jeopardizing sovereignty of Bosnia, Kosovo, so-called Kosovo, whatever you call it, and then nothing happened. My question for all of you is, have you ever seen a single apology, a single sorry from any of those medias because of these pure lies exposed to the public audiences of all these EU countries? No. And we are not asking for justice, or I'm not here to justify our position, because for me, as a president of the country, I am obliged with the conclusions of our National Security Council, have a constitution of my country, and I have an interest of our people, and we have to take care of our own national interests. And I was really profoundly grateful to all the people from the European Union that wanted to listen to us today. And I believe that together with this European political community, which might be very important and very good thing for us, I believe that we'll be able to all together to resolving as soon as possible this kind of very difficult issue for North Macedonia and Albania. But in the meantime, we'll do our best to increasing the level of cooperation between our countries, to improving our relationship, and to see what we can do for our citizens, saying everything the best to Serbian people about visiting North Macedonia and Albania during the summer season, and saying good things to Albanian and people from North Macedonia. If they want to visit Serbia, if they want to work in Serbia, they're going to get all working permits, and vice versa, saying the same to Serbian people. This is an open Balkan initiative which we are very proud of, and I had to say today that it was not the idea of any other people apart from us. 3 of us. It was Zoran Zaev at that time instead of Dimitar Kovačevski, but 3 of us came to that idea. That was our idea. We wanted to start taking care of ourselves, of our own region, doing something good for us, for our people, taking care of the neighbors. That was the idea. And we heard in the meantime, one of them was saying it was Orban's idea. And Orban was present today, I was mentioning that. We didn't even speak to Orban about it. Then someone was saying it was Putin's idea. I've never spoken to Putin about it. Why someone needed that? Because we did it by ourselves. We didn't need anyone else. 3 Balkan nations and their representatives sat together and they found a solution for at least some of their problems. Is it forbidden or should that be banned or what? At the end, once again, many thanks to our European colleagues because they really showed patience. I know that today is a big day for them because of Ukraine and Moldova, and it's good that we are not sided in that way, and naturally I have less frustrations today than my dear friends Edi and Dimitar because of the situation, but I believe that all of us can do a lot before December. What I promise to our European colleagues is that we'll do our best to reaching European standards on rule of law issues, further democratization, media issues and everything else by December this year. And then I believe that we'll have, I'm not going to say that we're going to be jubilant, but I believe that all of us will be in a much better mood in December than today. Anyway, once again, many thanks to Charles, many thanks to Ursula, and once again, I'm profoundly grateful to Edi and Dimitar. I can say something, they were defending their countries and their national interests in a very courageous way, and that's what I wanted to say and to admit to their audience. And if I say that, they can really understand that I'm saying the truth. Thank you once again.
Thank you, President Vučić. Now, dear colleagues, we can start with your questions. The first question goes to Marina Maksimović, Agency Tanjug from Serbia. Marina, turn is yours.
Thank you, Marina Maksimović, Tanjug News Agency, Serbia. So, President Vučić, we heard today from EU officials that today is the day of the historic decisions for our EU, but also we heard that the Western Balkans is the priority for EU. Were there any concrete historic or concrete decisions regarding the Western Balkans today, and what is actually the message that we can understand and that we can send to Western Balkans from Brussels today? And were there any, you said that you didn't ask for justice, but were there any concrete message that you sent to European Union? And on the other question for Prime Minister Rama, you said that you feel sorry for EU, but are you disappointed, or the situation is past disappointed? Thank you.
She's Serbian, you have to ask first.
It's okay. It's okay. Everything I said here, I said openly and publicly in the presence of EU officials. If I may translate what was important for us today, and if you actually analyze the concrete results for the Western Balkans, there were no concrete results, but it was a good discussion, and I would never underestimate that. I would never underestimate that. But if you ask me whether North Macedonia and Albania got that date, no, they didn't. Whether Pristina got it visa liberalization, no, they didn't. Whether Bosnia got it candidate status, no, they didn't get it. It's speaking, of course, we were very much criticized by many member states because of Russia-Ukrainian issue and sanctions. That's it. That's what happened if you translate it into these concrete terms. But politics, it's not always about concrete terms. At the end, it's all about results. But before that, it's about creating atmosphere. It's about discussing the issues. It's about listening to each other. It's about building trust and confidence. And from that point of view, I believe it was an important meeting. It was a good summit. That's what I can say. Thank you.
So I have to correct your president, as I did with the Prime Minister of Croatia, because he said the same, that I was frustrated. And I told him that I'm not. I simply feel sorry for you. And of course, in that regard, I'm frustrated. Frustrated for the European Union. And it's not a secret that I care more about the European Union than Aleksandar. So, in Albania, Albanians are religiously attached to the European Union. So watching this European Union be incapable to liberate two hostages, like Albania and North Macedonia, from Bulgaria, it doesn't make a good impression. And in this regard, yes, it was a historic day. But historic in the negative sense. As far as the Western Balkans are concerned. Of course, they had the most wonderful words for us. Congratulations, and they all, to be very frank and to be absolutely respectful to them, they all said that they felt really bad that they couldn't deliver. They said it. And some with more emphasis, some with less, but I didn't hear no one of them that would not say that they felt bad about the European Union, not about us. Okay, so on the other hand, we will going to continue. There is no doubt. I think I told you in Ohrid that in the beginning, some years ago, the dates of the Council of Europe, of the European Council, sorry, they are becoming more and more similar, became more important than the date of my birthday. Because it was always June, end of June, and my birthday is Independence Day.